Welcome back to Flock of Figures, where today I'm going to be doing an unboxing video as well as an update on the state of play with my Chella Toys Wrestling Megastars collection.
Quite a grand entrance.
So things are really starting to get going with these types of toy lines, the retro toy lines. There's been announcement after announcement of new signing to both the Chella Wrestling Megastars line, but also the Zombie Sailor Heels and Faces as well. So there's far too many announcements to go through everyone, but there's some really cool stuff being announced recently. Zombie Sailors, that toy line they've announced a couple of figs that I'm kind of looking forward to, really interested to see what they do with them. So they've got Raven on board, and they also have Brian Pillman, which I think will be pretty cool. I'd like to see what a Brian Pillman retro looks like. So I have on pre-order from Zombie Sailor the entire Series 1, which is the Major Brothers, Cardona and Myers, Earl Hebner, the referee, Sabu, and Dino Bravo. So that's the 5 that they've released in Series 1. I've got that in pre-order. And then I also pre-ordered the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Jeff Jarrett from the Orange Card Hasbro series, or based on what would have been released in the Orange Card Hasbro series. So I've got a few Zombie Sailors on the way, but I mean, they're coming from America. Who knows when? I don't have any idea as to when they're actually going to ship. And even when they do, it could take weeks and months to get across the Atlantic. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath for the Zombie Sailor stuff, but I'm kind of keeping an eye on what's going on and who they're announcing. And as I say, there's a few names that they've announced that I thought I'm quite interested in that, like Pillman and Raven. But I think, to be fair, my main focus really in the world of modern day retro figures is Chella. I think Chella, obviously they're UK based, so they're a lot more accessible to me. But they're also doing some really cool stuff, man, as well. So there's a lot going on. There are, again, announcement after announcement of new signings and when orders are going to pre-orders are going to go live, when orders are going to ship, things like that. But recently, what happened was this guy in the middle. So this is Josh Shernoff, who came as with Blue Meanie in the Mind of the Meanie 2-pack, which I've done an unboxing video on previously. This is a sort of exclusive figure that he has released through the Chella toy line. It's a Fight TV exclusive, so he obviously does some broadcasting for Fight TV and the YouTube channel. And that one was like a really quick turnaround. They just announced that was coming out. You could order it on their website and it was almost like ready to ship within a couple of weeks. But it just happened to coincide with the release of this man over here, Hayabusa. So that's a figure I've had on pre-order for a long time, the Hayabusa one. So we knew he was coming. We knew that we were going to get that figure, but it's kind of strange because there was figures announced and went on sale, like pre-sales went live before Hayabusa was announced. So Ethan Page was one, Dynamite Kid was one. I actually think Bull Nakano was another one that was before Hayabusa, but ultimately you take what you get, and this one that was announced that this one was ready to ship. So it came out around about the same time as the Chernoff figure. So as I say, I had this guy in pre-order. I jumped on this one as soon as it came out. I mean, initially when I got the Mind of the Meanie 2-pack, I didn't know who Josh Shernoff was. But since then, I've obviously done a little bit of research. I've followed a little bit of what he does on social media. And I'm now more familiar with him. I mean, he's not like a massive personality in the world of wrestling or anything like that, but still, I think it's a pretty cool upgrade, the Fight TV figure. And it's cool that it's an exclusive. It's just like a sort of side line from the Wrestling Megastars line. So pretty cool one to have. So got that. Just while I'm talking you through what's on the table, obviously I've got, this is Aldis. So Nick Aldis was the original one in the line. And then, as I mentioned in the previous video, there was a lot of variants that were released for Aldis as well. One of them I managed to pick up. So this is the sort of bloodstained variant of Nick Aldis. He's wearing his purple trunks and he's got the bloodstain on his forehead. So this is what's kind of shaped my approach to collecting this line, because I think this is a sign of things to come. There's going to be variants. There's going to be re-releases, repaints of figures in this line. So I'm kind of looking to do one loose and one mock for every character. So for example, I've got my loose Chernoff that came out of the Mine in the Mini 2-pack, and if I've got my Fight TV Chernoff mint on card, that's fine. So if they release another Chernoff that's a different paint job or something, then I don't need that. Same with Aldous. So I've got the original loose that I took off card. I've got this one that is mock. I'm going to keep that on card, and that's enough. There are other variants of Aldous, but I don't need them. I don't need to go and pursue them because I've got one on card, one loose. Mini, there is a Blue World Order Mind in the Meter, so Blue World Order Blue Mini figure coming out in a single release. So likewise, I would get that and keep that on card, and then I've got a Mini loose and a Mini on card. But yeah, going ahead with this toy line, I think that's what my strategy is going to be, is to try and get one loose and one on card of every figure, unless it's like a remold of a figure. So, I don't know if that, so far there's not been any indication that might happen, that they might come with like a different stance or a different pose or something. If that happens, I might have to rethink that. But as long as the figure variants are just repaints, just one loose, one on card, that's fine. We recently got news, like just actually today, got an email through to say that Bill Nakano is going to ship in October. So by the end of October, we should have Bill Nakano. I have ordered a couple of them, so I should have one of them to keep on card, one to keep loose. I believe that Joey Knight's figures they're shipping in November. That's the last I heard. So Joey Knight of the All Nighters, he's got 3 variants of his figure: a purple tights, a pink tights, and a green tights. I have ordered sort of 2 of each. I know that kind of breaks what I've just said because I don't need 6 different figures of Joey Knight, but I thought because he's a guy that we actually interact with, he's in the Legion of Hasbro group, we sort of talk to him, interact with him online, so I thought it'd be cool to have a few of him, and he's also going to sign one of them for me as well. So I won't end up keeping all 6 of them, but I'll see what they're like when I get them. And then beyond that, I think there's been big issues with the Ethan Page figure. Ethan Page was, at the time it was announced, nobody really knew who he was. He was an indie wrestler. I think he was best known in Canada from what I hear, but between his signing and the pre-orders going live for the Ethan Page figure, he signed for AEW, he's kind of taken off big time, and it seems like everyone wants a piece of that. But Ethan Page figures from this line, from the Chella Wrestling Megastars line, was restricted to 500. So it sold out really quickly anyway, because there was only 500 on sale, but now it's probably the one that's going to be in the highest demand. So I only ordered one Ethan Page. I didn't get an extra one. You have to have one loose and one mock, but because I didn't know who the guy was, to be honest, when it came live, when the orders came live. But I think that's going to be the one that's going to rocket in value. I think a lot of people are going to be flipping those figures for big money when they finally do come. But there's been some issues, I think, with the production of that figure. I believe COVID-19 has hit the factories or hit the production process pretty hard, and it's delayed it, slowed it down a bit. So we don't have a Page, we don't have a Nakano, we don't have a Dynamite Kid or anything just yet. But as I say, there have been other announcements, and when these figures came out, when Chernoff and Hayabusa figures came out, they included this advert. So for figures that were on the way. So we knew that these figures had been announced. We knew that Giant Haystacks and Big Daddy were signed to this line, and they were going to be releasing figures in a future series of the Wrestling Megastars. But this is, I think, the best view, the best sort of depiction we've got of these figures so far, and they look absolutely awesome. I believe there is going to be a top hat accessory that comes with Big Daddy, and I think there's a sort of the overcoat accessory, that kind of bearskin overcoat that used to wear Giant Haystacks is going to have. But there's also a chase variant. Well, a chase variant to the extent it can be a chase variant when you're pre-ordering. I think it's similar to what happened with Jeff Jarrett with the San Diego Comic-Con. There was a window of time you could order it, and once that window closed, you could no longer order it, and they were going to make we're going to produce as many as were ordered. So essentially, the only way to get it was in this very brief window. I think that's what the plan is for the chase variant for Giant Haystacks. I'm not entirely sure which one's which. There's a brown one and a blue one. I don't know, I'm guessing because this one's like in the main advert, that's going to be the main line, the one that there's more available of, and the blue one might be the chase, but I'm not sure. It might be the other way around. It might be the blue ones that kind of more common one. But anyway, so these are a couple of guys to really look forward to. But who knows? Who knows when they'll be hitting the... Even pre-orders for these might not open up for a while yet. So, but definitely something to look forward to. But anyway, so back to what we do have. As I say, I bought a few of the Hayabusa and the Josh Shernoff figures. I bought 3 of each actually, but the reason I bought 3 of each was I wanted to sort of pick the best one out of 3, because the experience I had with Mind and the Mini was the card arrived pretty banged up. I was really sort of annoyed about it actually. The Mind and the Mini pack was shot. So it wouldn't have been worth keeping mint on card anyway. I mean, now in hindsight it maybe would have, because the mint on card version of this 2-pack goes for big money on eBay, and it's going to be difficult to get another one. So it's unlikely that I'll ever have the Mind and the Mini pack on card again, just because of the prices it's going for. But because that happened, because I had the banged up card from that one, I ordered a few of each of these, and I thought I'd keep the best one out of the 3 that arrive. I'll keep the best one to have mock, to have in the case, in the protector, and then I'll open up one of the lesser ones. And I've actually given away my spares. So I gave away my spare Chernoff to Riley, who is just a really small kid. He's I think he's 10 years old. He's in the Legion of Hasbro group. Well, his mum's in the Legion of Hasbro group. Emma is in the Legion of Hasbro group, but she's there kind of on behalf of Riley, I suppose. So he's always doing videos and like showing off his collection and stuff in Legion of Hasbro. So really cool kid. So I sent him my spare Chernoff for him to have, and the Hayabusa one I actually gave to the admin team in Legion of Hasbro to do, like they look for prizes and things to give away in quizzes and events. So I just sort of donated the extra Hayabusa to them to do that with. Not completely in the goodness of my heart. It was a sort of a sweetener in a deal that I'd done with Dan Bassett, who's one of the I think he's a mod actually. I think he's an admin and moderator in the Legion of Hasbro group. But he done me a really sweet deal on another figure we were swapping for, and I kicked in my extra Hayabusa as a kind of sweetener, just because I felt like I was getting a bit of the deal. So just to sort of even it out, I give him that to give away in a Legion of Hasbro event. But anyway, I still have a spare of each that I'm going to open up, that I'm going to have a look at. So here's my other Chernoff. I mean, this was the worst card out of the 3, because obviously I put the best one in Protector, sent the middle one to Riley, and I kept the worst one, and it's in pretty damn good shape. Like, I mean, it's there's not much wrong with this at all. Bit of a crease up by the hook, and I think there's like a dent or something somewhere that I saw. But generally speaking, these are really nice nick. So maybe a bit of a shame to open it, but you know, we're not in this game to be flipping figures and making profits. We're in this game because we like playing with toys. So here is the Fight TV variant of Josh Shernoff coming off card. So obviously it is exactly the same figure, but I do think it just kind of pops a little bit more. I suppose it's got the blue shirt, it's got the red tie. I think the Fight TV microphone as well sort of stands out a little bit more. The Mind and the Mini one, obviously it's got the Mind and the Mini logo on it, but it's very, very small, very kind of minute details. So it's hard to make out from a distance, whereas that's fairly clear, the Fight TV logo on the mic. Everything else is exactly the same. I think it's more or less the same colour scheme. Yeah, maybe the Mind and the Mini has a slightly lighter hair colour. Slightly, but not much. Both got the wedding ring on their hand. Has he got? Yeah, I've got the wedding ring there. It is essentially the same fig. It's all the way around. Articulation's exactly the same. Head moves, waist doesn't. But I do quite like this one. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because my sort of knowledge of him has developed and expanded since I first heard of him when he was out with Blue Meanie, but I just think that figure is just a better figure to have than the original one, than the Mind and the Mini one. I don't know why. Because it's for someone that I have so little sort of awareness of, and I'm not exactly like a huge fan of him or anything like that. But I do feel like this is just a cooler figure to have. I mean, I suppose what it is like if you're playing with your toys, you know, if you're playing with your Fig Fed, and you've got this guy you've never heard of here, and he's holding a microphone from his podcast, it's a little bit sort of, I don't know, kabuki-ish, to use a Matt Cardona word. But, you know, if you're setting up a display or something and you've got him here, he's got his Fight TV tie on, his Fight TV microphone, it does just look that little bit more cool just to have, like an actual reporter there interviewing some of the superstars, just checking what Aldous has got to say to it. Yeah, that's I think that's a good addition. I think it's a good addition to the collection, and I think it's an upgrade. I do think that the Fight TV Chernoff is an upgrade on the Mind in the Mania one, just comparing the two together. But anyway, like I say, not somebody I'm hugely clued up on. Obviously, I know a bit more about him now and what he does than when the Mind in the Mania pack came out. But you could really take him or leave him. You're collecting him. You're buying that figure for your collection to be a completist, I suppose, because you don't want to miss out on anything. And it's cool. I suppose on the card, it's cool that it's a card variant as well. So yeah, that's a nice little addition to the collection. It kind of stands out because it's got a different card back from the main line, the Wrestling Megastars line. But either way, happy to have him. Actually, really happy to have him. Yeah, because like I say, I think it is an upgrade on the first one that we got. But anyway, so here is my second Hayabusa. So I decided to keep the one I kept and donate the one I donated to Dan, because this one was a clear and obvious candidate for opening. Not because there was any damage to the card or anything, but it just didn't lay flat. Like, I don't know if you can kind of see, but the flat, this corner was like completely curved and raised, and I thought that's not so good. So I mean, it looks pretty crisp and pretty sharp. There's no creases or folds or anything like that, but the way it was just lying kind of curved, I thought, nah, I'm opening that up. That's getting opened up, and that's what's happening right now. So here he comes. Oh man, this is. I hate when this happens with Hasbro's as well. When like a layer of the card comes away with a bubble, and you're almost sort of taking them off in a little tomb. You have to open them a second time. Oh, there you go. Got it away now. Right. So loads to talk about here. So when this figure was first announced, I was a bit annoyed. I was a bit so obviously Hayabusa. I've heard it pronounced different ways, but Hayabusa, I'd heard of him. I'm not huge on Japanese wrestling. I mean, I do watch it occasionally online and things like that, but I know who the main players are. So I'd heard of him. I knew what his name was. He's obviously had stints, I think, in ECW and WCW as well, but it wasn't a foreign concept. It wasn't like Josh Shernoff, and I was like, who? But no, I mean, I knew this guy's name. But obviously, since his figure was announced, I then went and looked into him, and I went and had a little look at what he had done in the past, and this guy is like unbelievable, absolutely exceptional, high flying. Some of the stuff that he does was like really, really scary, but so impressive. So when he came out with this pose, this jump pose, because this is to like, a homage of the Hasbro jumper that the likes of the Ultimate Warrior 1, Brutus Beefcake, Shawn Michaels from the Rockers, these guys all had this jump move, and it was a worst move. And when we had the Hasbros, nobody liked the jumpers, nobody wanted a jump move. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, man, if you're going to go back and make a retro wrestling line, why would you sort of incorporate the jump move that nobody liked? But when you get it, obviously the move suits the character. It does, because he was a high flying wrestler, so it completely suits him to have that jump move. But one of the biggest issues with the jumpers was that the mechanics of the jump move almost ruined the figure, because the legs went into the body, so the bodies would overlap the waist, so that looked ridiculous. And then they had this stupid big thing on their back. It was like a big deformed lump that was essentially the mechanism, how you worked it. It was like a button, I suppose, that you would push them down, and it just made them look stupid. But when you take those things away, when you take away the stupid overlapping waistband and then a great big deformed lump on the back, that is a much more aesthetically pleasing pose. Like, it doesn't look as ridiculous, and it doesn't make you feel as negative and about, looking at it thinking, how do you play with that? You're looking at this figure, you can play with that. You can totally play with that. I mean, you can imagine that flying through the air. You can imagine you having him on the top rope, spreading out his arms and jumping off for a big splash. Like, you would do that. I can imagine a kid having great fun with this. And it essentially is the same pose, the legs molded together close, arms out wide, so you're going to fly. But just having those couple of small tweaks really does make a difference to how I feel about that figure in that pose entirely. Just having the flush waist that sits perfectly and not having a deformed part in the back, it almost for me like doubles the value. It just makes it like I said, twice as good as it would be if it had a fully functioning jump move, which would absolutely suck. Because this is one of the main criticisms for the Chella line when it first came out, was that it was essentially a homage to Hasbro. It was as a callback to the Hasbro line. But what made the Hasbro line great was the moves, was the action moves, because obviously the WCW guys at the time didn't have anything like that. So the Hasbros did, and that made them awesome. But then when Aldous came out and it said, pro wrestling action, Kingsline Cloverleaf, and he didn't have an action. It was articulated. I was confused by that. I personally thought, what's that all about? And I know a few other people were like, why would you say there's a move when there's not a move? So, same with Meanie, like Meanie had, I forget what, was it the Meanie Splash or something like that, his move was. But he has articulation, he doesn't have an action move. So it was a slight frustration. But that said, if this figure had a functioning jump move, it would suck. It would absolutely suck, because it would have all the issues that the jumpers had. So this figure is so much better for not having a functioning jump move, and just having that basic articulation makes it a better figure, I think. So yeah, what was a big criticism of the Chella line originally, not having the jump move, might actually be the thing that sets this one apart. I think that's an exceptional job. The detail on this is awesome. If you look at his face, his mask. Now you would forgive Chella, if they put that level of detail into a head sculpt with a mask and a hair and everything. If that was a fixed head, you could live with that. You'd think, yeah, that's fine. But it's not. It's an articulated head. So that's awesome. I think that's exceptional. And I think if you look at the sort of evolution of the line, because there's Aldous was the first one that came out, then there was the Mind and the Meanie with Chernoff, up to Hayabusa. You can see improvements. Obviously I'm slightly biased, but that's the best fig out of this whole line, I think, so far. I think Hayabusa is the best one. out the ones that I have on the table anyway. I think he's the best one. And it looks, when we look at the artwork for what's coming, it looks like there are improvements being made all the time. So I'm really excited about what's coming with this toy line. This is almost like, I don't know what the best way to put this is, but kind of reignited an enthusiasm for collecting these figures, because obviously Hasbro's are great, Galoobs are great, but there is what there is, and that's it. And you know ahead of time, we've known for 30 years how many there are to collect. Okay, you can kind of upgrade and get guys on better condition cards or figures, loose figures that are in slightly better condition than ones you've got. But what there is what there is, and then unless you're going to try and go down the pre-production route, which is very expensive to do, customs is really the only other thing you can look into. But because we have this now, I suppose one of the things that were said about Chella was it was essentially a large-scale custom business, but it's more, I think it's gained legitimacy since then, and it does seem like it's really sort of bringing back these retro figures in a big way. So the fact that there are some coming that we know about, that we're really excited about, and there are others that we don't know about yet, but we can expect in future, I think that's awesome. I think it's really good to look ahead at this line and really get you excited about collecting wrestling figures again. Just notice there, I knew that Aldous wasn't the greatest figure when he was released, but just looking at the size of his feet compared to everyone else's, Nick Aldis must have massive feet. He's a massive guy, but his feet are like half the size as Chernoff's and the Meanies and Hayabusa's as well. He's got tiny feet. What's going on with that? That's bizarre. But anyway, like I'm saying, they're learning from the mistakes. They're getting better as they go. So we'll probably look back at Aldis in a few years' time, once we get the likes of Haystacks and Big Daddy and Adam Bomb. We get all these guys out. We'll look at them and think, God, how far have they come from when they released that Nick Aldis with a massive head and the tiny feet. But anyway, before we start talking about other stuff as well, we'll finish it there. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, please like, comment, share, subscribe. There will be more videos like this. I will be unboxing the Chella Toys as they come. As I say, I'm expecting Bill Nakano in October, expecting Joey Knight in November, and then beyond that, we've got pre-orders for Dynamite Kid, for Ethan Page, for Adam Bomb, and as soon as the pre-orders go live for Giant Haystacks and Big Daddy, I'll be ordering them as well. So you'll see a lot more of these types of figures on this channel if you subscribe. Okay, stay safe, and we'll speak soon.